Today, we're getting under the hood of women's health with Lucy, a women's advocate and a licensed master social worker working as a therapist in New York City. Lucy will get under the hood of adolescent mental health. What mental health issues are most prevalent amongst adolescents today?
Anxiety and depression are both very prevalent among adolescents today. The brain, as it evolves in adolescence, it's just trained to feel higher highs and lower lows. It's a chemical reaction. And so smaller events that to adults may be like, oh, this is nothing. This will blow over. To an adolescent, the world is genuinely ending to them, and it feels much more acute than it would be after puberty is over. So because of that, they are very prone to feeling very, very anxious and very, very sad about smaller events that adults might not take as seriously.
What are the main sources of stress for adolescents, and how do these affect their mental well-being?
Consider the three main sources of stress to be academic, social, and familial. I call that like the golden trio of stress for adolescents. And stress, especially at this age, takes such a terrible toll on the body. It can cause things such as panic attacks, anxiety attacks, weight gain, weight loss, lack of sleep, even, or sleeping too much. And so, if any of those three things take a toll on an adolescent throughout the day, if they can take something really to heart, and it can really wreak havoc with the body.
How does the pressure to succeed academically impact adolescent mental health?
Greatly impacts adolescent mental health because we as a society put so much pressure on these kids. Like, here we go, it's Tuesday, 9 a.m., here's a big test. If you fail this test, you get a bad grade in the class. If you get a bad grade in the class, you get a bad grade for the year. You won't get into the college you want. Your future is basically over. And although oftentimes it is done with such love, families can put such pressure on their kids to succeed. It's all about, are you studying? Are you doing your homework? Let me see your report card. And it's such a shame because these teen adolescents are feeling the highest highs and the lowest lows, and they can really grasp onto this academic stress, and it can really affect them.
What are some healthy coping mechanisms adolescents can use to manage stress, anxiety, or depression?
I'm a big fan of coping mechanisms that allow you to do it whenever, wherever you need to. Some things like fidget toys are not always useful, they can be beneficial. What I really like, and though some adolescents will give you a little pushback, is breathing techniques. I really enjoy 4-7-8 breathing, which is the concept of inhaling through your nose for 4 counts, holding for 7, exhaling for 8. It can really calm the body down and fool you into thinking nothing is wrong until nothing actually ends up being wrong. I also really like in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, there's the concept of two things can exist at once. And in one hand, it's I am doing my best and I'm proud of myself. And in the other hand, it's but I can continue to work and improve. And I find that very beneficial for adolescents who have very black or white thinking, that they can slowly develop this nuanced approach to how they're doing.
How can parents and caregivers create a supportive environment for adolescents struggling with mental health issues?
I think parents can also utilize the dialectical behavioral therapy skill of acknowledging my child is doing the best they can while also having room to improve, and basically raising your child with that knowledge and imparting that knowledge onto your child. It's a healthy way of development. I also think that when it comes to, every adolescent, mental health issues or not, there are going to be some really low lows. And it's really important to be able to face those low lows and be there for your child and support your child and not let your own anxiety get to you. I know it is such a pain point to see your child in pain, to see someone you love so much struggling, but it's important to be there with them and ride it through with them instead of letting your own anxiety get to them as well.
What signs should adults look for to identify if an adolescent might be experiencing mental health challenges?
Any strong apparent personality or behavioral change is usually a red flag. It's a bit of a rough spot because part of being an adolescent is going through a lot of personality and behavioral changes. But if your child is suddenly very isolated, going into their room for long hours or staying out very long hours at night, or a happy-go-lucky kid is turning very angry and irritable, These things could be normal, but I do believe it is worth going in and checking with your child and seeing where they're at, because something could be going on that's more than just normal puberty changes.
How do bullying, peer pressure, and social exclusion affect adolescent mental health, and how can they navigate these challenges?
There's a psychologist named Eric Erickson who believed in the stages of development, and he believed that adolescence is the stage of identity versus isolation. And in this stage, it's who am I? Who am I compared to other people? Do I belong, or am I isolated from any possible communities? And that's why bullying and social isolation can be so devastating to adolescents, is because someone is telling them, sometimes exactly this: you don't belong. And that can cause so many mental health concerns. And it's important, therefore, in this time to find your community, which can be even more difficult if you're someone who belongs to a minority or a group who isn't very often represented, such as the LGBT plus community. So it's important in this time to be able to find your community however you can and find a healthy place for you to feel acceptance and belonging.
What advice would you give to an adolescent who is hesitant to seek professional help or talk about their struggles?
It feels as if this is like a pit you're being dragged into that no one can understand or relate to. While I know that this is so devastating for you in a very difficult time, I also know that you don't have to be alone. There's no pride in suffering alone. You deserve help. You deserve someone to take you by the hand or take you by the shoulder. And there are many out there who will help you and get you through this, and you deserve that help.
Share some tips for adolescents and for their parents.
Adolescence, I would say, I know that it is so tempting to isolate yourself when you're going through something very unpleasant. It might be out of embarrassment or because you think you'll get in trouble. But this is the time more than ever where you deserve to reach out to a trusted adult and advocate that you need the help you deserve. You should not have to go through this alone. No one should have to go through problems alone. And that is the moment where more than ever you can reach out and advocate to see a therapist, see a professional, get the help you need. For adults, for parents of adolescents, I would say that your child is going to come at you with some curveballs, maybe some things that you'll never expected that they would say. And the important thing is to show them that unconditional positive regard in that moment, that no matter what they share with you, you're always going to love them, you're always going to respect them, and you'll work with them to get the help they need. And to not be afraid to say to yourself, I think my child might use the help of a professional potentially even. And always just lead with love, because if you're able to lead with love in those moments, your child will very, very much benefit from that.